Okay, so again, these files will be on there after this, so you can, if you take notes today and have the PDF, you'll be able to go. And yes, I own that server and that URL, and it won't do anything to your bad to your computer that you know of. Do it.
So I was getting ready to ask that.
So again, these are the files that you're going to need. If you're doing it from home and you want to, you can include the server 3. We're only going to do 2 servers today. We're going to need server 1, server 2. You're also going to need a Kali. You don't necessarily need it, but that's what I've got running on mine. You could actually use just a regular, any Linux will do. So before we go into it, yeah. Let's see here. Yep. So I'm going to be using Linux today. Why? Because it's free and it's just easy for me to set up. You can, most of these things that I'm going to show you, well, all of them, you should be able to do on a Mac or a Linux machine, or sorry, Mac or a Windows machine. So now that Windows has SSH on it, the SSH tunneling part that we're going to do, you should be able to do it on there as well. Due to the time constraints, let me go ahead and make sure I have this. Due to the time constraints, we're only going to be doing a couple of applications, but this will work for a lot of things. Yeah, so, yep, okay. So what is pivoting? Pivoting is where you have access to a server and you may not have access to an internal network. Today, our access is, we actually have SSH login credentials for the servers that we want to use as a pivot box or a jump box. And we also have SSH creds for all the internal boxes as well. It's in the PDF for you as well if you need to. So why would you want to pivot? Well, you want to get to the internal network. One of the craziest things when I first started playing CTFs was I went to a CTF and scanned the network and there was only one server on it. And I was like, I don't know what to do with this. So, but this is what you would do with that. So the third bullet we're going to get to here in a second. I'm Benny Karnes. I'm a slacker. I've been helping with this conference since HackerCon 2. My first HackerCon was HackerCon 1, and I went up and said, hey, how can I help? And they were like, you want to be on the board? Sure. What does that mean? And then from 5 on, I was running it. So, and for anyone that wants to help volunteer, do it. If you want to help the 3 or 4 geeks, man, this is the greatest thing ever. And how many are college students? I'm assuming you all are college students. Good. How many? Yeah, I know you are. How many go to Bridge Valley? Anybody go to Bridge Valley? Anybody? No?
I did.
Yes. Okay. I teach at Bridge Valley as well. So if you go to Bridge Valley, or you know someone that goes to Bridge Valley, they will also be seeing this next semester in their Linux class. So, yeah. So again, this is a hands-on class. When I came in, I was like, crap, there's no tables. Where's the tables? Where's the, so anyway, when I did it, there was, no, I'm just kidding. So,
Under the bus.
yeah. Anyway, so the IPs that you're going to see in the documentation are going to be different than what you're going to have, obviously, because what we're going to do is we're using VirtualBox. There are other ways to do it. If you're used to Hyper-V, then go to Kali, download the Hyper-V version or stand up your own. These are specific to VirtualBox only because I know VirtualBox pretty well. The networking is drop dead simple. There was only one thing that I had to actually learn for the first time, and that was it's actually in the notes, so you'll see it. So there's no way that we can cover all of the pivoting stuff. So what we're going to cover is we're going to cover SSH tunneling, which is local and remote, and then a jump box, which is the J. And then we're going to look at something called Chisel and Ligolo. And the reason I have Ligolo NG at the bottom is I had heard that this thing is the greatest thing since sliced bread, and it is way simpler than the other four. So basically with SSH, what you're doing is you're creating a tunnel from your machine to the second machine that you have control of, which is what we're going to use, Ubuntu Server 1. You have access on there. You're creating a tunnel to go from your machine to that machine into the internal network. The local versus remote is the way that you look at it. Local is you're going from your local machine to the remote and through. The remote is it calls back to your local machine, and you still use that as a tunnel. The jump box, or the J, is just literally you're SSHing to the middle box, and you're going through it and SSHing over to the other one. Out of all these, the SSHJ, the jump, is the one that you're going to need SSH credentials on everything that you jump through. With the jump, you can actually have multiple jumps. The other thing that we're not going to cover is essentially we're going to have two networks. We're going to have an edge network, which is what our Kali and Server 1 would be on, and then an internal network that we're going to stand up. You could have, and that could be a DMZ, and you could have an internal inside of that, and you could, with Chisel and Ligolo NG, you could actually pivot into all those. So yeah, this is just basically talking about it. Now, the nice part is you're going to see, especially with like the Chisel or the SSH or the Ligolo NG, those items, you'll see me, because I'm on Linux, there aren't any, exe file extensions. So all you have to do is in the notes, if you want to use Windows on it, just add an exe to it and run it that way. But the command should be fairly simple or similar. I use the term jump box in all the tunneling and the actual jump box, but that's really what Server 1 is going to be. That just is the box that we have access to. And getting access to that box could be, hey, I've got a reverse shell. We're not going to go into that today, but however you have access there that you can run one of these things. Today, we're just to make it simple and to get it done, we're using SSH for everything. So let's talk about lab setup. Let me get my notes here. Okay. So in here, you've downloaded this. This will explain how to download everything. Yeah, okay. We're going to set up the lab network. So essentially what you're going to deal with on VirtualBox is you're going to have a host-only network, and you're going to have a created network called an internal network. Your Kali or your attacking box is going to be on host-only. Your Server 1, you're going to set it up as host-only. There's two NIC cards on it. One card is going to have host-only, and one card's going to be on the internal network. So, and what you have to do is when you go to, you actually have to create in VirtualBox a host-only network, and it's just under, if you look here, there it is. Under Tools, if you're using VirtualBox 7 and beyond, Tools, Network Manager, and then you'll go in and you'll make sure it's on the host-only network tab. If you've just downloaded it, you probably won't have any, and you just hit Create. It's really simple. Right there, Create. So then it'll create it, and it'll give it, your first one will be VBoxNet 0. It'll give it 192.168.56.1/24. It'll also give it an IPv6 if you want it. Then what you'll do is you'll go down, look at the properties. This is the adapter, so this is like the address for the server, and then you'll click on the DHCP tab. You'll hit Enable Server, and then give it the lower address range here, and upper is basically, where you want to start giving out IP addresses to and where you want it to end. You could have 10, you could have the whole range if you want here. Now, in order to do this, you're going to have one host-only network. So you have to set that up. Is anyone that has a laptop, am I going too fast? Have you already got it set up, or do you need me to slow down? Because it looks like most people do not have a laptop. So, okay. If I'm going too fast, let me know. Just raise your hand. Hey, I didn't get that. One thing is sometimes I get really excited. I'm like, boom, yeah.
What was that URL at the beginning?
Oh, okay. It is ethicalhacker.quest. Yeah. So, and like I said, all this will stay up there for a while. So, okay, now for the internal network, what we're going to have to do is you're going to have to set up your other tab. Let me open up my VirtualBox Manager. And the nice part about the VirtualBox Manager is it allows you to, let me get one of the settings here. Network, okay. So it allows you to set up stuff really easy, like I said. So this is the settings for one of the machines that I downloaded. As you can see, it has the internal network. So it's Ubuntu Server 1. And what you're going to do is you add a name here. Now, if you noticed from the last picture, there isn't any information down here, okay? So if you look at this, let me pull this out of the way. So if you look at the internal network on here, this is the command you're going to want to run. And what that'll do is it will show you, and this is run on your host machine where VirtualBox is installed. What you'll see is when you run the list DHCP servers, if you have any others, including your host-only network, it'll show that DHCP server, right? So let me... So this is what it'll look like. Okay. Here you can see, this is my, can everybody see this? Is that too small? Here's my cyber range. Once you run that command, it's going to set up all that information. Here you have the upper and lower range. Again, where it starts, where it ends, your DHCP and all that stuff. That command should work for a standard. You'll have the same network as I have, cyber range int. So that should work for you as well. Again, on a Windows machine, all you have to do is for your VirtualBox, I think you have to use VirtualBox EXE. It just depends on how it was installed. I have seen videos. I'm not a Windows guy. I'm a Linux guy, as you can tell. I actually run Linux at home. The server's running Linux, so my host machine is Linux. So in that, you'll set it up before you do the DHCP server. You have to set up one machine that has that name, right? And you'll pick this name here, and just make sure that whatever name you pick, it has the DHCP server. Now, once you do that, you can stand up as many machines on your internal network as you want. If you so choose, and you've got a machine at home that you do Proxmox or whatever, same thing applies, except for VirtualBox won't be installed on the Proxmox. But at that stage, it's whatever you use for virtualization. So, okay. Any questions on that up to that stage? So now we have 3 machines plus our Kali. If you downloaded 3, I have 3 running for the demo. So let me get back to my. There we go. So here again, this sets up Kali. If you download the Kali image, try to go ahead and download the VirtualBox image off of Kali. There's different types. If you want to do the ISO and walk through it, that's perfectly fine. Again, that's the easiest, is just to download the VirtualBox image. Or if you use KVM and you're on Mac or Linux, then you can do it that way as well. But this will help you walk through. Actually, I have import. I just noticed a flaw here. The things that you're going to download, the servers you're going to download, these are zip files that have a VBox file and a VDI file. So the VDI is basically the virtual hard drive, and the VBox is just the settings file. So all you have to do is you won't import like it said there. Like I said, I did this a few days ago. What you'll do is, let me get my VirtualBox here. So this is VirtualBox Manager, and what you'll do is you'll just hit Machine, Add, and when you hit Add, it's just going to say, hey, where do you want to go and do it? You unzip those files under your VirtualBox. Install VirtualBox first, because what it will do is it installs a VirtualBox VMs directory. Just in there, put in those servers, make a folder for each one, and then when you hit Add, you just find that VBox file in there. It loads it all in. It should load in the NIC assignments as well. So you may want to go ahead and run your VBox DHCP server issue item first, and then import these in, and you're good. You should be good to go. So, any questions on that? On how to do that? No. Okay. So, a lot of people, just here's my soapbox on VirtualBox. A lot of people hate VirtualBox. I've run CTFs with 20 machines running VirtualBox, and it's held up just as good as most everything else. So it's free, it's not bad, it works on anything, and you can spin up your own virtual machines like crazy. And the networking's a bit easier than most. Okay, so we've got the servers. So here is, here's our network. So again, this one has 2 NIC cards. This is your Kali or attacking machine. From here, you can't see any of the internal side. That's why we're going to go through this machine here. This machine's dual home to both sides. Again, if you were on the host-only network or the network that you started up with the CTF or whatever, you would only see one machine. You wouldn't be able to see these others over here. Okay? So, case in point, so let me make sure okay. So I am going to ping 10.37.73.6, which is my Ubuntu server 1. I can not see that IP address, but I can see, I can't remember the 42. But if I pinged 192.168.56.142, I can't see it either. Okay, it's probably picked up another one. Oh, did I? Yeah, duh. Okay, public math. Okay, now you can see I have access to it. So, what we're going to talk about, like I said, is we already have the credentials. If you're looking at right underneath here, here are the credentials. So we're going to use these, and 10 points for anyone if they understand who these users are. So, okay, so part of this came from studying for my OSCP, and one of the things that they said to do is try the Wreath room at Try Hack Me. And initially, that's what I was going to do, was just to have everybody go try that room. The only problem is the room, essentially, it's not bad for pivoting, but there are exploitations that they walk through, and it's a little more confusing. So I wanted to take out all the confusion. Plus, I wanted to do it locally so that nothing would happen. With the Wreath room, if you wanted to reset one of the servers, you have to press a button, and when they get enough votes, then it'll reset. That could be today, that could be in an hour, that could be in a week. It wouldn't play for what we're trying to do here. So,
Is this one of their free rooms?
yes, it's a free room. So for those that don't know, Try Hack Me is a great resource for learning all this stuff. You can get a free account, or you can pay for a year. If you use a student EDU account, is like $72 a year, which is as much as a book. I use it in my Linux class, all the free stuff. There is plenty of good stuff on there for free. Another one is hackthebox.com. Their lab section and academy section are both free and are really good. So a little word on proxy chains. So you're going to see us use proxy chains a couple of times, especially with the Chisel. What proxy chains does is you have to put it in front of the command that you're using, and then it knows to go through when we use Chisel, you'll see it more, but it'll go through the proxy, go through that middle box and go on into the internal network. Proxy chains is one of the ways that you can do this. Again, Ligolo NG takes that out completely. You don't have to use proxy chains at all. For the SSH tunneling, you won't have to do it either. And the jump box, again, you don't have to do it. So any questions up, and we'll configure this here in a few minutes, especially for the Chisel. So any questions on that up to this point? Questions on why we pivot, doing it, setting up the lab. For those that have laptops, is everybody caught up? Can we start? You would be the problem child. Okay, well, no. I built time into it, so let me know. This is, are you building it? Are you, okay, that's fine. Okay, because I wanted to, I built time in so that we could have the lab set up. So while you all are building that and getting it set up, how close are you? Are you to the point of you're downloading, or you've already downloaded it, you're unzipping and building the network part? Okay, cool. Mike, you too?
Yeah, I've downloaded all the files. I'm building Kali right now. I'm also simultaneously building the servers.
Okay. Greg?
I just got Cali to unzip. I can call that, don't worry about it. I'm fine.
Okay, so what we're gonna do is, while we're waiting on that, we'll take a few minute break. I wanna make sure that everybody that is doing this hands-on has a chance to do that. Do you wanna pause it while we,
And you said we don't need server 3.
you don't need server 3. Okay, there we go. Okay, let me, do. Okay, so the first one we're gonna look at is, local SSH tunneling. And, I want to be honest with you, I still use tunneling for the jump, so, bear with me on this. This all works. So basically, we're going to use a local host, local port, when trying to access the machine. So the syntax looks like this, right? Like that?
No, like actually maximize the VM.
Yeah, you only got partial.
Oh! How did that happen?
I don't know, a little bit more.
Leave me alone.
This is common.
Leave me alone. I'm used to having a TV right here that I can at least see it as I'm doing it, but, okay, so the syntax is, we're gonna put SSH-L, local port, destination IP, destination port, user at jumpbox IP, and then the F and N is, crap, I can't remember. The N means don't run a terminal, basically, F backgrounds it. So basically what's gonna happen is it's gonna run it, you're not gonna see anything, it's gonna go back to your prompt, and everything's gonna be sitting there. Now, there's something right in front of local port. If you need to, the syntax is actually local IP colon, local port colon, destination IP, destination port, space, user at jumpbox IP, okay? Which we're gonna see here in a second. For the remote, it's very similar. It's SSH-R for remote. Now, there is a capital D that does something very similar. It's a proxy similar to this. But we're just gonna do R just for, to narrow it up today. And the syntax, the thing that you're also gonna wanna do is, once you set this up, anyone from that machine can basically log on to your computer, your attacking machine, and get the port back, right? So what you're gonna do is we're gonna create SSH keys on that remote machine and put them on our host Kali machine in the authoritative keys. And here again, it's -R, local port, target IP, target port. Yeah, and there would be a local IP if you needed it. Username at attacking IP, because you're coming from the remote machine back. And you're gonna use the key file. So FN backgrounds it and keeps it from doing the terminal. So again, I've used tunneling. Yes, technically it's a proxy jump. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna do SSHJ, username at the jump box IP, and then username at the remote IP. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna hop through that middle computer into the remote IP. Okay. So now we're going to start the demos. Again, we're going to look at the we're going to use our passwords and credentials. Anyone Google Baldric? Yep. These are all Blackadder references. Technically, this should be Bladder, but I forgot the L. It was late at night. Yeah, Mr. Batter. So each one of those three servers that you download have those 3 users, and those are the passwords. If you understand the Blackadder reference, Bob's kind of smart. Yes, I said she would have kind of had a password 123 maybe. Baldric's dumb as a box of rocks, so his favorite thing is turnip, so he would have actually used turnip. And Edmund Blackadder, the star of the show, is kind of, he thinks he's better than everybody else and knows more, and so he would have had a better password than the average bear. So anyway, so we've already talked about this. Again, the network diagram, we're going to use our Kali VM, which is what we're on right now. The Ubuntu server is our jump box, and the server 2 is the main one we're going to look at, but we'll go into server 3 as well. Server 3 is optional because when I did it initially, I thought, oh, well, I needed something else out there for it to look at. Okay, so again, we've talked about this part. In here, when you connect over for the first time to these machines, you're probably going to get a fingerprint issue. You're going to want to hit yes, and then it will add it to the list of known hosts, right, in SSH. Now again, modern Windows machines should have SSH already installed. You may have to put .exe at the end of it. So again, you can also do this on Windows with Windows Subsystem for Linux if you have that installed, or something else I'll talk about later if we have time. What? Multipass. Multipass.
No, I was laughing at installing Windows Subsystem for Linux on my Windows 10 virtual machine on Linux.
Inception, baby. That's the name of the game. Okay, so what we're gonna do is our first one, I'm gonna actually SSH over to, I'm just gonna use, there's a dude password on there as well. That's just because I needed an admin. The other 3 users, yes, I saw I was hitting the wrong key there. The other 3 users do not have admin access. So again, these issues, you don't need admin access to actually get them running. Let me make sure, I think it's 6. Nope, was it 7? Come on, Greg. What was the first one? 6, yep.
That was like 5 minutes.
Oh, duh. Anyone know what's wrong with this? Come on, we just talked about it. Nope.
You connect them to the wrong network.
Yep. I just said I can't reach 10.37.73 anything, right? So I had the wrong one in there. You're not paying attention, Mike. What's going on?
I'm the idiot here.
Okay, so I should be able to, I have SSH keys on my local machine, so I popped in there, no problem. Now you can see I'm on server 1. Okay, who am I? And then host name. I do not have a proof file, but here you can see I'm dude. I'm on Ubuntu server 1. Bada boom, bada bing, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to do the first one. Whoops. Okay, so what we're doing is we're opening up port 2222 on my Kali machine. When I go to do that, log into it, it's going to take me to 10.37.73.7, which is the number 2 server on port 22. I'm logging in to my jump box as Bob, and then I want to background it and let it go. Okay? So we're going to do that. Says, what is Bob's password over there? Huh?
What is not typing?
Hold on, I'm getting it.
It's just kidding.
So we can pull it out of here, paste it in. Boom. Crap, did it work? You can't tell. So let's now SSH over to 10.37.73.7 as Baldrick, just to be on the safe side, just to see if it works. Now, the way we're going to do it is we're going to do SSH localhost, because that's what we're on. We're using our localhost. And because we're not using the standard port, we're going to do P2222 and boom. Dude at localhost password. Now, I don't want to do that. I want to go in as Baldrick, right? So I forgot the username here at the beginning of the localhost, right? So let's start it again. And I meant to do that. It's early. Okay, so we know what it is. Turnip. Ta-da! Now, who am I? And host name. Now I'm on server 2 on the internal network, and I'm using server 1 as that pass-through. I can now, if I wanted to, can't remember if Nmap's on here. Okay, so because I have access to this machine, I don't have root access to this machine, I can't install anything, right? So if I wanted to do like an Nmap scan of the network, I would then have to use something like Chisel, or just hold off. You're going to love Ligolo, NG. It makes things way easier. I keep saying that, and I saw it on all the, people that were passing OSCP, and they're going, man, you need to just learn this. And I have to totally agree with them. If it works, it may not work. You may have to use something else. But in this case, it's going to work because we have that access. So if I wanted to look at what other machines are out there, I'm going to have to find another way. Again, we'll show that in the Chisel and Ligolo side. But now we can do it. If I really wanted to, I could even SSH over, because we already know what the network looks like. I'm on 7. Again, I'm pointing to my screen. I'm on 7. I want to go to 8. Well, I'm already there. So why don't I just SSH over as, Baldrick. If I can type today. At 10, 37, 73, 8. Should work because we're already on the internal network, right? Boom. Haven't been there before. As Baldrick, yes. And then turnip. It's a little slow. I get it. The VMs that you download only have 512. Depending on how much RAM you have, you may want to bump that up. Or, 512 should be plenty. It just may be a little slow. Just bear that in mind. So, again, clear. Who am I? Host name. Now I'm on server 3. I can then do whatever I need to do. Okay, again, this is assuming if I have SSH credentials, I can download files as much as I want. You may have a reverse shell, which isn't a solid instance, so you may have to try and figure out passwords or whatever. So if let me exit out of this one, if I can spell exit correctly. Yeah, I thought about putting like all the misspellings that I do and just alias it. So I'm back on server 2. How would I go and find out? Again, I know what Baldric's password is. Where would I go and look for other passwords? Any Linux people? What? Huh? No, I'm not root, but I want to maybe get root's password. Right, but you could go to the Etsy passwords to get a hash. Maybe they've got a crappy password, and who knows? So if I look at Etsy passwords, yeah. They were in my class last semester, so they're like, oh crap, he's asking this again. So in here, Etsy passwords has all the passwords for the file or for the system. What?
Sorry, I'm back.
Okay, and as you can see, there's an X in the second column. The columns are the colons. So that X means that password's not stored here, it's stored in shadow. So in this case, you may not have it. But what if you wanted to go in and, find it some other way? Yeah, there's backups there. There could be a backup on the server of the server. Why you would do that, I don't know, but CTFs love to do that. So, and next year I will probably have a CTF so that everyone can try these skills next year. So, I used to do the CTFs as well. So, that is the local, right? Again, once I got it set up, you didn't see it, it's still running, so we're gonna have to kill it here in a second. But I just used localhost to log into that machine, right? With the same thing, username at localhost, and then the P stands for port. Now, one thing that you may get confused on is if you look at in the tunneling side, you have the colon to distinguish the port. Make sure that you don't use that when you do the actual SSH command. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a PSEF grep to look for my SSH, and there we go. It's this one right here, SSHL. So I'm going to kill this. And now if I look at it, I only have the other ones that I have, right? One of them, this one is this one, so if I killed it, I would get kicked off that one. So now, I've already done this as a demo, but here's how you would do it. On your machine, the remote machine, this is the second part of it. Notice I don't have keys as dude, right? We don't have them. If I go to, I think I did it for Bob. I don't know. We'll look. Whoops. So, what's the trick if you have root access that you want to go to root without typing SU and you only want to use your password? You may not know root's password. I happen to know it, but sudo SU dash just means run everything that root would have. So what this does is sudo allows you to run a command as root using your password. If I wanted to switch users, I could do SU, and that would switch user. If I don't put a username in there, then it's going to switch me to root. Okay? But if I'm on a machine that I know I have, or the user that I have accessed this machine with has admin access, but I don't know what the root's password is, little trick is sudo dash su or sudo su dash, and it's going to ask you for the credentials you have, not the credentials you need. So crap, did I have? Yeah. Maybe I don't know what the credentials are. There we go. So what I'm going to do is I'm just, the only reason I'm going into root, I usually don't go around as root, is I just want to show you that if I go to bob.ssh, I have SSH keys, okay? Which is the part we're going to do now, right? So here we have test SSH, that's the private key, this is the public key, and we're going to generate the keys now, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to exit out. And again, this is all for the remote portion of it. So we're going to SSH in. I'm going to go as Baldrick. Okay, if we look in SSH, there's nothing there. Baldrick hasn't used SSH, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to do a little step so that we can get access. We're going to access server 2 from this one just to let the computer make all the files and all that stuff correctly. So we're going to SSH as Baldrick at 10:37:73. Whoops, crap. As you can tell, I use a different keyboard at home. Yes, and turnip. We're there. We're going to exit out. Now if we look, we have our SSH folder. The reason I do this is when you're starting out learning Linux, you may get the permissions wrong. And then once you do that, that can spin you in a cycle that it's just easier to, if you can SSH over to another server, SSH once, and you're good. So we're going to go into the SSH folder. Notice we don't have keys. We're going to generate keys. So we'll do SSH hyphen keygen, and that's it. Now, if we want like the ultra secure, the new ED 25,000 whatever, you can add that type in here. If I just do it this way, it's going to use the RSA, and it's going to name it ID underscore RSA, and then underscore RSA dot pub. I'm just going to do it that way, right? Boom. Generating private public keys. This is where I want it to save. That's fine. If you have another name that you want to save it under, this is where you would type in, I want to save it under a different name. If you notice, when you run it, if you go into the SSH folder initially, you don't have to put the full path. I can put Baldrick's keys, and it's going to put it right in that folder. Whatever folder I'm in, if I don't put the path in, it's going to put it there. I'm where I want it to be. Boom. Do I want to put in a passphrase? If you're using SSH keys in production, yes. Always yes. For doing this and farting around on a CTF, you don't have to. You can if you want to, you don't have to. What that means is anytime you go to use this key to SSH into a server, then you're going to have to put in the password. There's other ways to do that, again, outside of this class. We're just making it as simple as possible. So now we have all this. I can now take my public key. That's why it's the .pub. Public key can be out there, right? Yes, there are attacks that you can recreate the private key, but you're gonna have to have a lot of server space to do it. So just for general purposes, you can give anyone your public key. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cat that. And this is what it looks like right here. Okay, I'm going back to my Kali machine. Remember, this is the remote server. This is the Kali machine. And I'm going to go into my authorized keys folder or file, and I'm going to add that public key. Now, there is an easy way to do it with SSH copy ID. I don't want to do that from that server to here. I want to show you how to do it manually, because you may not have that ability on that remote server to do it. So I just use Vim. If you use Nano or anything other than Vim, you're wrong. No, I'm just kidding. For anyone that watches this, huh? Oh. Yes, okay. I like that. No, I don't like VI. No, I just want to, when people see this like 5 years down the road, I want like a flame war to start on their YouTube channel. I like Vim just because it's there. VI and Vim are basically the same thing. Vim is the newer, has some other whatever. If you know those two, you'll be good to go, and it's installed on just about everything. Okay, and then I'm going to do authorized keys. And all Vim is a text editor inside of your terminal, right? You can use Nano, you can use Emacs, why, I don't know. No, anyway. You can use whatever terminal editor you want. You can even, because it's on our Kali machine, I can even go in here and open up a GUI text editor. It's whatever you are comfortable with. But my suggestion is get very comfortable with the command line. Whether you're on a Mac, Linux, or a Windows machine, learn the terminal, period. Okay, so I just pasted in there. Bada boom, bada bing. Now you can see this is the comment section right here, the very tail end. And what that does is it says, hey, just so I can remember, me being the admin of this server, I can remember who that is. You can put whatever comment you want. You can go back into your public key and change that comment. It's not going to change the key, right? So just remember that. Okay, so how do you get out of Vim? You burn down the data center. It's real simple, right, Steve? It's like 37 keys. No, it's escape, WQ. The W stands for write, the Q stands for quit. If I just wanted to write it and stay in the file, I could just hit W. Hey, it says it's written. Okay? And then I can hit Q later. So
You use cat to read files.
I do now. Just so, see, I did it earlier.
Just because of me?
Just because of you. Cat is not used to, no, anyway.
Do you give you a warning if it's not saved?
Yes. If you, let's say it's a read-only file and you have to put sudo in front of it and you forgot, I do it 100 times, it'll say read-only file when you go to save, and then it'll say, hey, let's just, back out of the changes without making any changes. You can hit Q exclamation and it'll back out. It didn't save anything, right? Sometimes it'll say when you go to quit, it may say that, hey, you didn't save anything. Are you sure you want to exit now? So it will give you something. Okay, so now I can, as Baldrake, I can tie back to my other machine, and we'll show this now. So I'm going to SSH dude, because remember, I don't have Baldrake on my Kali machine. I put it in my dude folder, my dude user. So I have to use that user to log in. And then I'm going to go to 192, 168, 56. I think it's 39. I'm not sure. Okay, there we go. Dot 139. Okay, it didn't take it for some reason. Oh, yeah. So it didn't take it for some reason. Anyone know why? Any SSH people out here? Oh, crap. So, yeah, sorry. This is the warning of, hey, you've never SSH'd over there before. You want to store this in your known host? Yes, that's what the first one was. But it's not going to take it. Why? Huh? Not in this case. When I SSH'd over, remember I said when you create the keys, it creates it as an ID underscore RSA? Well, if you don't give it the key that you changed it to, it's not going to take it. It's looking for ID underscore RSA private key to match with the public key. That doesn't exist, so what you're going to have to do, so it defaults to and says, hey, that's not going to work, so use their password. I'm going to exit out of it, so here is what you would use. You would say -I and then Baldric's keys. Because I'm as Baldric, I'm going to use that key. Now it puts me right in it, right? So now we know that we can exit SSH over. So now what we're going to do is we're going to look at, okay, 8. So this is the reverse. We've done the, we need to generate the SSH key pair, which we've done. We need to make sure SSH is on. We did that in a roundabout sort of way. How did I check it? I actually tried to SSH over. If it wasn't running, I couldn't have logged in. If you need to, you can also use systemctl status SSH. Now, if you're using the default Kali, it is not going to be installed automatically, right? So if I did sudo, let me clear this, sudo systemctl, that's, I don't know what it would be in Windows world, but that basically says, hey, as a system, run this thing. I'm going to do status SSH, and then I put in my password because because I'm trying to run as root, it asks for that. The thing that I'm looking for is it says active and running. Okay? Now, with systemctl, it's systemd for those that are interested. You see kind of a log, right? So that'll tell you. Notice that it says disabled. It has 2 disabled. The first one, if I want to set it up, and I do this on other servers that I use, if I want SSH to be running every time the server is rebooted, I can enable it. This is my Kali machine. I may not want that all the time, so I leave it disabled. This is the on reboot issue. Okay. Any questions on that? On checking it, how to check it, all that stuff. And then if it's not running, then what you can do is systemctl start, or if you want to, you've changed configuration and you want to reload it, you can either hit restart SSH or reload SSH. So again, we're going to do local port, target IP, target port, username and attacking IP. So now we're going from the remote server back to our local server. So this is for our example. And we're going to run this on the remote server. Okay? Again, this is going to log in to my Kali machine, set up port 2222, which, remember, we killed it a minute ago from the other one. And then it's going to say, hey, anytime someone on that machine pipes over to port 2222, it's going to go to, in this case, 7. So we haven't given 8 much love, so we'll change it to 8. So there we go. And I'm going to change this to dude. Because I don't have Bob on my Kali machine. Oh, see? Why didn't it do that? Okay, let me figure that out here in a second. Okay, so again, it goes back to your prompt. It's backgrounded it. Now, if I do SSH localhost again, same port, that should put me on 8. Oh, I've already got it. Hold on. Keep moving. Oh, and it started tracking him. Okay. Yes, it's new. So now it's asking for Baldric's password. Turnip, who am I? Host name. So now we're on 8, the 3rd server. Again, we've gone through port 222. What I did a second ago here, where I copied this is basically saying, hey, there's a fingerprint of a server localhost with 2222, that port. Hey, that already exists. Do you want to get rid of it? Do you want to use another one? Technically, I probably on the remote server should have used another port, 2121. I wouldn't have had that error. But it told me what to run, and what this does is it says, hey, remove this. And so I did. So now I'm on the server 3, and I'm as Baldric. I can then go and do whatever I want. I can then look at anything on that network, right? Any questions on those two? Local, it creates this tunnel. Everything's from your local machine. You set it up on your local machine. It goes through the remote. Remote is you do everything on the remote server. It calls back to your local machine, and then it goes through there. What are they used for a lot besides this type of environment? What if you want to set up, a case in point would be, you want to set up a web server on your home machine, and you want to give it access to your work machine. I work from home, so that's like, really? They're right beside each other. But if you actually go into a place, you could actually use this tunnel to get back as a poor man's VPN back to your home server by using these methods. Will it be secure? As much as SSH is secure and using what you're using in this case. I wouldn't recommend it. I would use a VPN or something other, Cloudflare, something like that. So, any questions? No? Pretty simple? Okay. So I've exited out of server 3. Now we're going to do the jump. But before I do that, I need to make sure that I have killed SSH-R. Crap. Okay, So we have one. My screen is bigger. So I have one right here. That's the one I want to kill. So I'm going to kill it. And this kill is just killing the process. Okay. So now we've looked at local, we've looked at remote. Those are the technical tunnels. Now we're just going to do a jump from our local machine into the remote machines. And so what we're going to do is we're going to SSH-J, and we're going to go as Bob at 192.168.56.142 space Baldrick at 10.37.73. We'll go back to 7 again. Okay, so what we're going to see are 2 password logins. Now, a lot of times when you're using a jump box like this in the proper way, your first hop, you're going to use SSH keys, 9 times out of 10, right? And I'll show you what that looks like here in a minute. But you would use SSH keys, then you would only have 1 hop that you may need passwords. Technically, if you use this in a production environment, you're going to have SSH keys all the way, it's just like turtles all the way down. It's SSH keys all the way down. So, but I'm going to show you this. So now we're logging in as Bob. I got to get Bob's password. Give me a second. I made him and I can't remember him. That's why you need a password manager. Right. On everything. Okay, so that's Bob's password, Baldrick's password, Turnip. Baldrick's my favorite character, by the way. I think he's hilarious. So now I'm on server 1 or server 2, and host name. Again, you would want to probably use SSH keys all the way over just to make it easier. There may be instances in a production environment that you would use SSH-J to jump if there is a bastion host or jump box that you've got to go through to get to your other environment. For whatever reason, that internal network may be locked down more. So, any questions on those 3? Okay, good, because the really good part is after they left. So in the documentation, I think it's at the top. We are going to use, here are the Chisel and the Ligolo, whatever. It's right there. There's the releases, right? Now, what you're going to want to do is I'm going to open them up just so you can see them. So what we're going to do is for Chisel, we're going to look for Chisel. It's the same application that you use on your Windows machine. It's the same version that you use on your Linux machine, right? Because what's going to happen is it's the same app. There's a flag that you put on the remote one that says client. You're going to start a Chisel server, and you're going to use server on your Kali box, but it's the same application. The only difference is Windows would be, there should be a Windows in here, and it should be when you, yeah, there it is. Pick your Windows, you unzip it, GZ is just a zip format, you gunzip it, and then boom, now you have a Chisel the exe, and you have your Linux one that you would download. Now, would I say download all of them? Why not? because Kali allows you to, Kali comes with an Apache server, right? And again, you start it with systemctl start Apache 2, boom. Now you have a web server, which, hey, you have access to that box. It may not have access to the internet, but it has access to your server. So boom, that's the agent. And the only thing that I did here is, this is just the Linux one. I could easily, as easily put in the Windows version, but because we're just doing the demo on Linux across the board, I have this on my Kali machine. This is the same version. I just copied it over to my Apache server location, so I know it's going to be the same. So we get in over here as Baldric onto 142. Turnip. Now, we don't have anything there, right? Nothing's there. So we're going to do a wget 192, 168, 56, 139. I did it again. We're going to turn over here and we're going to, Chisel agent. Now, what wget does is it's webget. It's just goes and gets it. It doesn't matter. Now, you could do it if you're using on a Windows machine. It's IWR, in PowerShell, or was it certutil and command? It goes and gets it. Now I have it. Oh yeah, so there you go. Do you need to be root to run it? Nope. So I actually have proxy. Oh, let's look at it. Never mind. Crap, what was it? I thought I had the Chisel one, but I'm not sure. We'll just use what we have here. Come on. I have a mouse. I'm like, I thought I brought a mouse. I usually don't use I hate touchpads. I hate it with a passion. So far you all have learned that I'm very passionate about my text editors, and I love Linux and I hate touchpads. So, do what?
Important lessons.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, if you don't know that, and now you know how to start a flame war on the internet. Just go into any Linux forum and say Emacs is better than, or Nano is better than, or Vim is better than, and then just step back and watch the fireworks, because I guarantee you there are, or Arch. Ooh. Tell someone that you run Arch. You know how to tell if someone's running Arch? Give them 5 minutes, they'll tell you. Oh, will they ever tell you? I like Arch though. See, I'm like I'm running Ubuntu and I run Kali, but I like Arch. If you have the time, go for it. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna run our Chisel server, and all I'm gonna do is, I don't remember if I stored it in here. Crap. I guess not. Okay, I'm just going to do a copy from var www html where I have it, Chisel, and again, whoops, This is just ensuring that I have the exact same one that is there on that Linux machine. So what I want to do is, gotta make sure it is, man, Chisel. Okay, so what you're looking for is right here is Chisel. You need to make sure that it has executable permissions. That's the X. This one has anybody can execute it, so that's what I'm looking for. I'm gonna say I want to run a server on this port 8080. I could use any port I want. 8080 is a standard one. No, not. He's already walked in front of it. Sorry. Did you lock it? Okay. Okay, just testing.
I forgot about that already.
Yeah, when you walk past it, it went. Zzz. I think it locked on him. So anyway, so we're gonna do the reverse because what it's gonna do, and I'm gonna be honest with you, in working on this through all the documentation, the reverse is the only one that I got to work. The reverse means the same thing. You're going to connect from the remote server back, right? You can actually go from, on the remote machine, you start the server and you connect from your local over. I never got that to work. I don't know why. Maybe it's me. If you get it to work, that's awesome. Could be. Okay, so now we're listening. It's got a fingerprint. That's what we're looking for. We're going to go back here and we are going to do this. Copy that. So we're going to connect from the remote machine using the client back to our port. The R is reverse, and then we're telling it to use SOC's proxy. Now, this is just one way to use Chisel. The way that I got it to work, there are tons and tons of settings. But the only reason I'm showing you this is it's way easier with Ligolo. That's the other thing you got to learn. Ligolo is the better way to go. So I want to do this. Oh, what? No. Yes, it should work. Oh, I checked it on my Kali machine. I didn't check it on my remote machine. I do not have executable. So what I'm going to do is chmod for change mode. Yes, 777 is right out, along with cat. So I personally,
I'm hacking it. I don't care if it gets messed up afterwards.
what I tend to do is you can do a plus X, which gives user, other, and group access. I like to add a U in front of it and just say, nope, just my user. That's a personal preference. Again, yes, you're on this machine. You're going to do whatever it takes, right? It's not your machine.
Exactly.
Why would you,
Scorched earth.
Yeah. So now we can see that it has just the user. That's the user. That's the group. Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
I guess I should leave the E out of there.
Well, no, anyway, on the OSCP, it's like you burn it down. Although I didn't get to burn it down, but that's another story. Yeah. Okay, so let's try it. Over here, we've got that. Bada boom, bada bing. Now, the key you're looking for is it is storing it as localhost 1080. 1080 is the magical port that you need to put into your proxy. No. Proxy chains config file. Now, what happens is the reason it gave 1080 is I did not specify a port. Again, when I tried to specify a port in doing the training and doing it for real, it never worked. Put the R, remember it's going to be 1080, it's always going to be 1080, and go with it. So now it's listening, but notice I have lost that terminal. Why do I have 4? That's why. So I am going to sudo vim etsy, whoops,
This is a 1080 important question.
proxy chains 4.conf.
Why don't you use Arch instead of Vim?
Do what?
You like Arch better than Vim, so why don't you use Vim?
Oh, Arch is an operating system.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so like this is Kali,
Right, right.
but yeah.
I thought Arch was some new text.
Oh, that would be good. Okay, so you can make aliases. I'm going to have to make an alias called Arch. I use Arch. I use Arch too. Yeah, I like that. Okay, so what you're going to do is at the bottom of the proxy file, you're looking for this bit right here, right? You're going to see SOCKS 4 and it'll say 127.0.0.1. That's localhost or home. It's going to have 9050. You're going to want to comment that out and put Chisel uses SOCKS 5. So you're going to put SOCKS 5. And then you're going to put, and what I did is I just copied that line. Put it down below, changed the 4 to a 5, and then added 1080, right? Now that we have that, we're going to go back to our handy dandy. Boom. And here again, it talks about all that stuff. Now we're going to proxy over. Change the dude here. So now we're going to proxy over. Again, it's created this tunnel for us. We're going to proxy over as Baldric. We'll go to 8. So now we're on server 3. Boom. You've got proxy chains in front of it. That's how you know you're using it. And then you're just going to put in turnip. And bada boom, bada bing. You can't see it because it's, yeah. So who am I? Host name. Now we're on server 3. Okay. And again, all the shenanigans can go from that point on. Okay. Any questions on Chisel?
Take you back to the beginning.
Yeah. No.
Just kidding.
Speaking of which, we need to take a 5-minute break. I need to go to the restroom. Too much coffee. So at the end of this, Steve and I and another guy, Wayne, and I don't have a shirt on today, we started a thing called P&D. And Wayne came up with a name. It stands for Practical Network Defense because I was studying for CEH and Wayne and I knew each other. And so Wayne and Steve worked together. Yeah. So Wayne goes, hey, why don't you come and teach this? My work's never going to let me pay for it. Why don't you come and teach it? That way it solidifies your knowledge, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay. And he's like, I'm like, where are we going to meet? And he goes, we'll meet my office. And he worked at a lawyer's office, and he's like, yeah, when they ask, it's P&D. And I said, why? And he goes, well, I couldn't just say goofy hackers. And I'm like, you could have. Well, I would have liked that. And he's like, no. I had to give him a legit name, so I just came up with one on the fly, and it's been P&D ever since. So we're now, do what?
You got a PND sticker.
Oh, yes. Yeah, which Mike designed. But now it's all on Discord, and we do it once a month. So we have our own meetup, but it's just basically me talking about this. As a matter of fact, Tuesday night, I did the same class just to make sure I had everything down. And that was their complaint, was the setting it up. But that I gave them that ahead of time. And one of the ladies that is in the class, she doesn't use VirtualBox. So she's like, oh, I had to do a Google search and I converted your VDIs over to KVM. So she was doing everything under, KVM. I'm like, that's awesome, So anyway. Okay. So I showed you that. to show you this. What we're going to do now is, like I said, we've done SSH, tunneling, local, remote, jump box, and Chisel. Chisel is not bad, right? Yeah, here we go. I have no problem with Chisel. The easiest though for me in my brain, once you set everything up, is Ligolo NG. And there's some, Legos, yes. It's just like that, shoots arrows, and anyway, so there's some stuff that you have to do ahead of time, right? And we'll look at that for a second. So this works. The other thing with the Chisel and the SSH, sometimes you may get stuck on, due to the proxiness or the way that the tunnel works, there may be issues with the way that you do certain commands. So the only thing that I ran into using Ligolo is if you run nmap, you have to run no privilege in it, so it doesn't throw a bunch of errors when it goes through the tunnel. But it's really nice because what you can then do is you can set up your initial tunnel to your jump box, set up an agent to that middle tunnel or that internal tunnel, and then it'll go into the third. Remember we talked about having a DMZ and a third. You could then pipe it all the way through just through one. Oh yeah, I haven't had that, and I'm not going to do it here. That's a little bit outside of the scope, but you can do it, and it's just you just set up an agent on that middle server. Backs anyway. It's really neat. Also, it allows if you have to reverse shell back through all that, it does it really easy using that. Okay, so here is Nicola 30, Nicocha 30, Ligolo. See, I can't. Anyway, with this, there are agents and there are clients or proxies. So the proxy is the server that you're going to set up on your machine. The agent is the agent you're going to put on their machine. And it has an agent for Windows and it has an agent for Linux. And what I did was I actually put in here, I set it up to where there were folders for each one. Now, granted, I won't do that next time I do the test. I'm only going to, because I'm only going to need the agents. So I'm just going to name the agents what I need to name and then go that way. And again, this will be the agent. I don't need all that fluff around it. But I didn't know at the time, and I just never changed it when I took the test. So another, if you don't want to set up Apache and you just want to do, this is something else I meant to say earlier, is you can also do a Python simple HTTP server in that directory, still do the wget from the remote machine over blah, blah, blah. You can also, if you know that that remote server has access to the internet, you can just pull it right off their GitHub repository, which again is everything at the top. Now, one thing that you have to do is you have to make sure that there is a tunnel interface on your Kali machine already set up. Again, it's the pre-work that you have to do a little bit. If you look here, I don't think mine's still, yeah. If you reboot the machine, it goes away. Now, there are ways to make it permanent, but for this exercise, we're going, and that's kind of why I didn't make it permanent, is I wanted to show you what you have to do. So this is what I need to do. What I'm doing is, notice how we have an etho 0, etho 1, and then a low. The low is always going to be there, but F0, F1 is my, it is my connection in whatever, right? when you're using VirtualBox, even if you're using a Wi-Fi adapter, you're always going to have an F0, F1. F1 is my host-only network on VirtualBox. F0 is my Wi-Fi adapter, right? So notice that's just a NAT. We don't really need that, but this is the one that we're going to be working with. So now what I'm going to do is with this command, I am going to create another one called Ligolo. And if the developer ever is watching this video and I'm pronouncing it wrong, I apologize. It's still a pretty wicked application. So now if I do an ifconfig, now I have a tunnel, or not a tunnel, not yet. I have a interface that I will use as a tunnel once I set it up. Okay, so now here's all the information. Now I've gone in. This is all you need, right? I have a proxy. You're using. Remember, there's an agent and a proxy. We're going to get the agent on the remote machine here in a second. To set up the proxy, I have you just run proxy, and because I'm using a self-signed cert, I'm just putting self-cert. If I wanted to get really crazy and create my own cert through Let's Encrypt, then yeah, you could do that and make it legit and all that stuff. Do you need that for this or a CTF? No. I made an alias called proxy me, and it does that for me, right? So all I'm going to do is proxy me, and then boom. This is the interface that you're going to get on the proxy side, right? Now, over here, we're going to do this, and we're going to change this to our and we're just going to get the agent, so I don't need to copy that. Boom. Go to the end, type agent. It's going to get it. It's going to save it. Boom. It is not executable, so we use chmod user plus x agent. Now we do it again. Now it's executable. And then all we're going to do is we're going to run this. Now, because I don't have a proper certificate, notice how I have to put ignore cert. There's my coffee. I saw him come in with coffee, and I'm like, where's my coffee cup? Hey, Mike. Genesis. Okay. I was going to bring my Live Nation water bottle, but I thought better of it. Okay, so here we have agent. We're going to connect over. I need to get the correct 139. It's going to be 11,601. That's the port that it's listening on if you look over here. So, and then we're going to ignore cert. Boom. Now, connection established. Now we have connection, right? We see that it's connected. We're going to hit enter. Now, if you notice, it tells you the name. So I hit enter to get my prompt back. We're still not ready to use this tunnel yet. Again, there's some setup, but once you do it, it's just, you have your aliases, you know what to do. I was doing it in the practices and the test in like 10 seconds. I mean, it's really easy. So anyway, now what we're going to need to do is that internal network, we're going to set up a route on our Kali machine. So anytime that we put in, hey, we need to go to this IP address, it's going to use this route, right? So I go to another terminal, and I'm doing 10.37. What are you taking a picture of?
The screen.
It's being recorded.
I know.
Okay. Zero. Now, the reason we use 0/24 is this is a quote 24. We're using CIDR range on this. So any IP address, I now have two IP addresses, 7 and 8, that I don't have to go, oh crap, I need to just SSH over. No, I can access both of them now from this. Okay, so I set up the info here. Now, I do an IP route just to make sure. There it is. Now, here's the moment of truth. Oh, wait a minute. One more thing. I go sessions without an S. It says 1. You can have multiple sessions. So if I want to do the tunnel to this machine now, and then I get access internal, and I want to do another session, I can switch sessions in the middle of it. I can stop one session and start another session. I'm in. Okay? So I do session. It says, which one do you want to specify? I hit 1. Notice that the prompt changes. This is the agent. It looks just like if I was logged in over there. And now I hit start. Starting tunnel. And now I can ping 10.37.73.7. I can SSH as Baldrick at 10.37.73.8. I did the wrong password. Cross the hands, okay.
Okay, just in case you can't read the prompt.
Who am I? Crap. Yes, this happens in my class as well. And they're like, just type. But it makes them think, and then, oh, you're typing it wrong. Host name, now I'm there. Beauty part is now if I wanted to, I may not have access to run Nmap on the remote machines, but now I can do Nmap. And what's Nmap do? It just maps the network. 10.37.73.1/24, whoops, 24. And I'm just going to do open. And now I have an Nmap running. I didn't have to do anything weird. I forgot to put the no privilege. But, ta-da! Now yeah.
Now there's a 6 too.
Do what? Oh, that's the 142, the jump box.
That's right.
So now I can do whatever I need to do. I don't have to worry about proxy chains. I don't have to worry about anything else. It acts like a VPN, right? So now I can do any of my commands, and it just does it natively. It's way easier. Again, you have to have connection to that pivot box. Pivot box. I should have used pivot instead of. So we need that pivot box location, whatever it is. And the beauty part, like I said, this works in Windows. You can put this on a Windows machine, pivot back, and now you're using that Windows machine as your pivot box to go into the internal Windows network, AD network, whatever you want. Stuff that you wouldn't normally be able to see. Now you have access to it. So, look at that, 12 o'clock.
Nice.
Any questions?
Okay, you're 27 seconds open.
Shut up. Shut up, you.
Sorry, sir.
Okay, now, if you notice, it gave me errors. That was the way that the tunnel works with Nmap. So you're gonna see that a little bit. But it's fine. I mean, it just tells you that there's an error there. If I hit the enter key, it pops right back up again. Now, again, to stop it, I just hit stop, yada, 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 closing tunnel down. It's already closed down. I can go back over here and hit Control C. I want to exit out of that. And there we go. So any questions? Yes, no, maybe? Yes?
Sorry, I missed most of this, but when you're using this software, is it going over clear text?
No, it's encrypted.
It's all encrypted, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the other part. Because you're connecting from your agent back to your server.
I figured it was.
Yeah. Same way with Chisel. I believe it's encrypted as well. And like I said, there's other different ways to pivot. These were just 5 pretty quick, down and dirty ones to do. So yeah. Any other questions? No. And this is recorded, so yeah. Okay, that's it. Leave. No, I'm just kidding. Thank you. Okay.